Hi, my name is Masahol Creative Christensen, and I am an astrologer and tarot reader. And today we are looking back with astrology in the chart of Meghan Markle, right? So today's chart is based on her show that was released in March 2025, and it's called With Love, Meghan, right? So I just thought that the cycles she was going through at the time were very interesting. And because we have verified birth chart data from astro.com, I decided to look a bit deeper, right? And in this example, we will be using a bi-wheel. So Megan's natal chart is in the middle and the transits are on the outside, right? But I did check her solar arcs and her progressions as well, and I could see why she released it, when she released it, and all of that. But today we are going to focus on the transits, right? So basically, her show is about cooking, gardening, hosting, and she basically invites other guests on her show, right? And because she is, well known, obviously, the people that she interacts with are, up there, let's say up there. And why I thought this was interesting is because the chart was indicating that this was the right time, right? Despite the fact that it wasn't really well received, this was the time for her, and we are going to look at that. So I'm just going to go to the chart. So this is Meghan Markle's natal chart, and I am going to start, right, with her Uranus in the fifth house, right? It's in Scorpio, it's in the fifth house. And I just thought it was very interesting the fact that she was going through her Uranus opposition at the time. Because as we can see in the outer wheel, transiting Uranus is in Taurus and it is opposite her natal Uranus. So anybody going through their Uranus opposition knows how it feels like your life is just in shambles at that time. Like, and it's out of nowhere. And it just comes from wanting more, you know, wanting more for your life. And that is why this shakeup happens. And I think that is what she was going through at the time. She just wanted more. She wanted change. And she was at the end of this cycle, right? But throughout 2024, she was going through this. And that was probably when they were filming for the show, right? Now, despite the fact that maybe the public was a bit like, not so keen on it, why I think this was so important and significant is we see that moon in Libra in the third house of communication, right? And it is being supported by transiting Pluto in Aquarius. There is this support, the sense of empowerment. And I honestly feel like the show was more for her than it was for, like promoting her reputation, right? It was just showing, she was trying to show who she is as a person. And why I think this was more about her than it was about like being well received or well liked as well, is because transiting Saturn, right, is in Pisces, it's in the ninth. And we need to bear in mind that, yes, in 2024, Saturn, it was early June 2024, it stationed retrograde at about 19 degrees of Pisces. So it never really hit her ascendant, right? But it was hitting her Mars. And for me, yes, this became exact in 2025, Saturn trying the ascendant. And that's why I feel it was an emotionally stabilizing, emotionally empowering time for her. But I want to say that why mentioning Mars, because I'm noticing that I'm going a bit up and down, is that Mars rules her MC. So whether we see it or not, yes, this was about her putting herself out there in the beginning, but I am seeing the end result, as a very supportive situation project for her. This was about her at the end of the day, and creating some sense of stability within herself and who she is. Now, what I also want to mention, right, is that Jupiter in Gemini is in her 11th house, right? So it's not making any major aspects to anything else within her natal chart, right? But remember, this show, like I said in the beginning, I know it seemed like a bit of a ramble, but what I was trying to say in the beginning is she was basically inviting other people to her home, and she was interacting with them, socializing with them. And Jupiter and Gemini in the 11th is showing that abundant, expansive energy of wanting to interact, wanting to connect with other people. And that is how she used this transit. She was like, I'm going to invite people into my home and get to know them and share my tips. That is how this energy manifested for her, right? Now, why this even piqued my interest in the first place is because of the date that the show was released. So everything I've been talking about, I feel like it was more in the background process, in the production, right? And obviously we don't see all of that, but the show was released on the 4th of March 2025, right? That was the release date of the show. And I remember thinking when I saw this, I'm like, that is so interesting, because transiting Venus stationed retrograde on her MC, right? It was within orb, conjunct her MC. And for me, like I was saying earlier, yes, you know, 2023, she's working behind the scenes, she's creating this project, and it's about her career, it's about her reputation. But this transformed into something more. This transformed into a project that was about mending herself, stabilizing herself, and communicating who she is to the world. And Venus stationing retrograde conjunct her MC for me showed that yes, she is trying to put herself out there, she's trying to be independent, she is doing her own thing. This is her doing her own thing, and that is a very Aries energy. But it's about her. She was ready to dig deep within herself. That is how I am seeing this energy within the chart, right? And I think when it comes to launching anything, you want to consult with a professional. I know I always say this, and I'm probably always going to say this. But if you don't know and you are making yourself anxious, just just consult with someone who knows, you know. But it's also just nice to see how this energy manifests for someone else. How Venus conjunct the MC. Yes, it was about her career, but I think this was more about herself, and we will see what other projects she comes up with. But I hope that you enjoyed this short little video on Meghan Markle's chart and her launching her show. And if there is anything that I didn't mention that you want to mention, or anything you want to comment about, let me know down below. And I hope that you enjoy the rest of your day.